we bring the candidates right to you, including Assembly Representative Jodi Emerson from Eau Claire. Jodi, the issues that tend to come up have fallen into basically two main categories. One that kind of comes under the freedom umbrella, like bodily autonomy, things like that, and then affordability. Whether it's the childcare crisis or healthcare or things like that. I mean, is there kind of a mental ranking in your head in terms of what you're hearing from constituents this year?
I would say it's those top two. And surprisingly, it's not even like women are for the bodily autonomy, men are for the pocketbook issues. I've talked to some older men who have voted Republican all their life and said, I was a Republican until Trump made my wife not a full person. And then, beep, 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 I'm voting Democrat. So it's interesting. Just as soon as you think that you can put a person into a certain box by looking at, their car, their bumper stickers, their whatever, as you're walking up to their house, they surprise you every single
Yeah.
time. So
No, I believe that the Dobbs decision, of course, played a big role in that. Donald Trump's mere existence, plays a role in that. Where, Kristen Lyerly's been on here saying this is one of those campaigns where you talk to everybody. Usually the door lists when you're knocking on doors as a candidate, they're pretty regimented. These are where the undecided voters we think are, or the people that may be persuaded. But I think everything is just kind of a wild card this year, and almost everybody appreciates a good conversation. Obviously, with some rare exceptions, some people are going to be, the worst version of themselves. But I still think people enjoy a conversation more than anything else when they're seeing nothing else but TV ads and mailers and texts and everything else.
Yep, exactly. And the number of people as we're at the door who, I say, here's some information about me and some other candidates. And then they laugh and they say, I've got more than enough in my mailbox. You can keep that. It's fine. So
Yeah, it is true.
It is true.
There's
So
so much mail like ever before. In fact, let me reach down here because I'm going to make a collage one of these days. I've got Eric Hovde's face in so many places. On this one, on the flip side, here's a bigger Eric Hovde face. I mean, there's some folks that really think that I'm a swing voter when it comes to this U.S. Senate race, and you got to rethink your campaign budget. All right, in terms of the affordability issues, it's not like you and other Democrats in the legislature weren't trying to address some of these things. There were very concrete proposals made by you and the governor that you might want to remind folks about.
yeah, so we've worked towards childcare. Counts was one program. We think about taking care of the most vulnerable people. You cannot go to work if you can't take care of the people who rely on you for their care, like maybe a 6-month-old child or something like that. Um, but also, when it comes to childcare, you can't just keep on upping the tuition rates, because right now in Wisconsin, childcare costs are more expensive than college tuition is. So at some point, we have to help people with that, or they're just going to choose to have one person, go out of the workforce to take care of that child. You can't have somebody putting more than 50% of their budget into paying for their child to be safe. That's one proposal that we've tried. There's also a lot of stuff out there about how Democrats voted against the largest tax cut
Oh
in
yeah, let's get
state
into
history.
this one.
So
Yeah, you and the others voted against the largest tax cut in history. I'll bet there's a great big asterisk next to that.
yeah, so think about that. Like, if it's the biggest in state history, do you think it's sustainable? Do you think it's a election year ploy maybe after they knew the maps were going to change? Um,
Maybe
we're
targeted to the highest income brackets,
right. And we're all for cutting taxes for people because we do have a surplus right now. However, I'm for making sure that our schools are properly funded so that each individual district doesn't have to go back to the public for operating referendum. Let's maybe adjust that a little bit. And then let's make sure that we're putting any sort of income tax out there in a responsible manner so that we don't have to raise their taxes the next year because the coffers are empty.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think anytime people are seeing a headline like that, they've got to look past and think critically and saying, what's the other side of this?
Yeah.
Because of course we want to get the money back to the people if we can do it in a reasonable and responsible way.
Right.
The other thing is we have had some successes when it comes to state legislature. I was the lead Democratic author on a transformational package of bills that was signed into law by the governor that puts more than $500 million into a revolving loan program for senior and workforce housing that is really going to help keep the price of housing down. And we know that that is one of the highest expenses right now, especially for working families.
Yeah.
Rents are going up like crazy. We just simply need more stock. We need more inventory. People need more places to live.
And tomorrow we're going to hear from U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo. She was here campaigning on a personal basis for Vice President Harris and talked about that very issue of affordable housing. And for a presidential candidate to actually propose something as well tells you what the crisis is like and says that people like you have really hit the nail on the head in wanting to address that. State Representative Jodi Emerson from Eau Claire, thank you as always for getting up unnecessarily early for you, but we appreciate it.
Afternoon show, Pat. I'm begging you.
I'm working on it. Congressman Mark Bocan is coming up next. You're up north. Hey, if you are looking to see who is representing you or wanting to represent you in the Wisconsin legislature, we've got some sources you can check out. Dan Schaefer has put together a 2024 voter guide for Civic Media. Just head over to civicmedia.us to learn more. And for stories about things like how to register to vote, how to vote absentee, and more, you can check out the Up North News voting guide. Just head over to our homepage, upnorthnewswi.com.